Hey, welcome to the 6th episode of the Larix collection, where I'm going to break down some of the native wildflowers that I have observed in the Point Pelee National Park. I'm going to describe a few and then list a few others I have seen on the site. The species I'm going to describe is Opuntia, cespitosa, eastern Pricklypear, Hydrophyllum, appendiculatum, great waterleaf, Symphyotrichum, shortii, short Aster, Decodon, verticillatus, the swamp Loosestrife, cernua, noting Beggertick. Opuntia cespitosa, the eastern pricklypear. This is a member of Cactiaceae occurring in southern Ontario. I have only seen it in Point Pelee, though it occurs in other areas. It being a cactus, it enjoys this sand spit where it thrives in certain areas around the park. This species belongs to Opuntia, which is the pricklypear cactus genus, which is very large and well known for its distinct looks, having large succulent segments called pads, which are usually upright. The pads on this species are only 1 or 2 segments high, no more than that, staying low to the ground, being only about a half a meter high. Has a strong green to it and a good shine to it in the sun, with little dots throughout the pads, which are where the glaucids are, which are super small spikes, kind of like fiberglass, which break off into your skin, are hard to get out. This species can be easily overlooked if grass is surrounding it. It could be right under your nose. If you are lucky enough to see it, hopefully you see it when it's in flower. It has large yellow flowers with reddish orange showing more as the flower develops. When in flower, you can't miss it with such a bright yellow flower. When I saw it, it had the modest mass bee, which is an insect. It was all over it, flying like crazy. It was like zipping in my ear and stuff. This species of cactus still baffles me as it thrives our winters, even though they aren't super harsh. If the wind blows off, with the wind blowing off Lake Erie the right way, it can become colder than the surrounding areas. This cactus in Canada is considered endangered and only really occurs on sand spits off Lake Erie, as Lake Erie has 3 that I know of in Ontario. It needs sandy dry soils and open environments like savanna settings, for example, which Point Pelee offers all of that for this species, and being the most southern point in Canada is the warmest for this species. You may see it in other places, but the point is known for it being one of the best places to see it in the province, with it being protected in its strongest habitat. You will never get old of the species once you see it in flower and everything it does in the ecosystem around it. Hydrophyllum, appendiculatum, great waterleaf. This species is endangered in Canada. This species is endangered in Canada, being pretty rare. I have only observed it this one time. It wasn't a major population. This species belongs to Bergamot family and comes in at 0.3 to 0.7 meters, or 1 to 2.5 feet tall. The flowers are pinkish to purple in color, coming in clusters 2 to 3 inches across. The flowers are bell-shaped with 5 petals fused at the base, with 5 stamens with dark purple tips. Flowers themselves are half inch to 3/4 inch wide. The leaves are simple and arranged alternately on the stem. Lower leaves are 5 to 15 centimeters or 2 to 6 inches long and wide. They occur on a long stalk with 5 to 7 lobes. All lobes come to a pointed tip as you work your way up the stem, and the leaves get smaller and less lobed, being only 3 lobed at the top of the plant. The leaves and stems both have hair along them. This species was seen blooming on May 26 from my observation. Its habitat is moist deciduous woodlands, woodland borders, shaded areas along rivers. This observation was actually on the bank of a marsh area, which isn't really too shady, being more open, with some trees a bit to the right, so it could cause some shade. There was also some tall grasses that could play a part in shading. This species attracts honeybees, bumblebees, mason bees, digger bees, andarid bees, and halictid bees. The Andaridgeranii is a specialist pollinator of the species Hydrophyllum. Other pollinators are syrphid flies, dance flies, butterflies, skippers, and associated species of this plant are the Canadian wood needle, mayapple, enchanted nightshade, wild geranium, and the rock elm. Next we have the Symphyotrichum, shortii, the short's aster. This member is of Asteraceae. It is one of many asters that bloom in late summer to fall. This is a common composite flower which I described in previous videos, where the petals are actually on the tiny florets which occur in the center of the flower, which as a collective called the disfloret, and is a bright yellow turning to red with age. The bright blue to violet rays are not actually petals but commonly mistaken for them. The flower occurs in numerous clusters on the top of the plant coming out of the leaf axis. Around the base of the flower are 4 to 5 layers of pointed bracts, which are usually diamond-shaped. When it comes to asters, it is always good measure to check the bracts, as it may help to differentiate certain species. The leaves are thin and 2 to 6 inches long and 1 to 2 inches wide. Has a few shallow teeth along the margin of the leaf and is pointed at the tip. The top of the leaf has a smooth texture, and below along the central vein it will be slightly hairy. Altogether, this plant sits at a height of 1 to 4 feet tall. This species blooms in September to October in rocky soil, oak forest edge, and slopes. It enjoys part shade It enjoys part shade and average to dry soils. On this site, it is usually seen along paths where the canopy has a break in it, usually so it gets the best of both worlds when it comes to the sun. Also, the soil is also ideal for the species, as it is mainly sandy and drains quickly, keeping it dry for the species to thrive. This species is not endangered in my area, but when I looked it up, it is endangered in areas like Arkansas, Florida, Minnesota, North Carolina, Virginia. It's a good species for the yard since it is an aster. The pappus for the seed is like a dandelion, which is actually a good food source for birds throughout the winter, bringing other species to the yard. Also has a lot of pop to it in the fall when everything else is packing in it and bringing many pollinators around. Decodon verticillatus, the swamp Loosestrife. This is a native that is in the same family as the notorious invasive species purple loosestrife, Hydrophyllum celeriana. This is fairly common in the marsh area, and it has a deep bell-shaped flower that are about 1.5 centimeters or half an inch long, with 5 petals and 5 short stamens and 5 long protruding stamens. The leaves are 5 to 15 centimeters long or 2 to 6 inches long and lanceolate. Also, from this picture, you can see that the leaves are thin, have a thin red line that surround the margin of the leaf. The height of this plant is 2.5 meters or 8 feet long, but is usually arching, so it won't appear that tall. This species flowers from July to August in swamps, bogs, and edges of shallow water. It is a nice native swamp species. It is not endangered in my area, but it has a status in Mississippi, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Islands, and Quebec. And other common names for this species is a water willow, which is why Latin is better, as this species is not related to the willow whatsoever, but it has a willow-style leaf, which is a common thing that can throw someone off when introducing themselves to the subject. Common names are easy at the beginning, but they will set you back in the scheme of things. The same common name can occur in 2 different areas and actually confuse when traveling. Anyways, this is a nice water-loving species which loves sluggish water and can survive in bogs, which is considered a harsher ecosystem due to the lack of nutrients available in a bog. Cernua, the noting beggar's tick. This species is also a marsh-loving plant, and it also is seen along the edge of the boardwalk. It is a plant with the height of 30 to 90 centimeters or 1 to 3 feet, with numerous yellow flower heads having more form throughout the season as the plant matures. The head are 5 centimeters or 2 inches wide. This is also a member of Asteraceae, so it is considered a composite flower. Those petals are actually rays, and this species usually has 6 to 8 of them. and the central disc floor are darker yellow than the rays. The leaves are 5 to 15 centimeters or 2 to 6 inches long. They are simple and smooth to the touch. Leaves occur opposite on the stem and are stalkless. The seed is described like other Biden's genus and is 2 to 4 barbed spines. I don't have a picture, but honestly, it kind of looks like a slug where you get stuck on your clothes. It always gets stuck on your clothes upon contact, which is a great trait to have as it spreads by getting into animals' fur as they brush up against it, which being in the swamp is surrounded by reeds, where birds are flying and passing by all the time. Waterfowl are also known to eat the fruit as well, which turn helps spread the seed. The species of the flower, this species flowers from August to October, occurring in swamps, stream banks, and other wet ground. Though this species does not have a conservation status, it is still actually an amazing native that will thrive in our swamps. It is also a food source for muskrats throughout the year and supports waterfowl. They are known to eat the fruit, which would help them support in their fall migration, which I would consider a staple to help with the migration, especially since these marshes and wet areas are getting damaged and built on throughout their travels. Species that I've seen but I did not describe. The tall thimbleweed, Anemone virginianum, wild bergamot, Monarda fistulosa, which I described in episode 4, Meadow Anemone, Anemonastrum canadense, Allegheny Monkeyflower, Mimulus, ringens, straw-colored flatsedge, Cyperus, stegrosus, tall bellflower, Anemonastrum americatum, swamp rose, Rosa palestris, marsh pea, Larix, palstris, marsh wildwort, Citrus, pulgastris, prairie rose, Rosa arcasanus, which is an endangered herb robber, Geranium rubrotium, white Oz, genum canadense, moss phlox subulata, Virginia waterleaf, Hydrophyllum Virginiana, woodland sunflower, Helianthus diuretus, common even primrose, Oleander benis, burr cucumber, Cercoleus angantus, American pokeweed, Fulgulata americum, purple foxglove, and Galanthus purpura. Alright, well, that's all I got for this episode. There are still more native wildflower species that occur on this site, but I just covered a good base of the area. Thank you for listening and showing some support. Next episode is going to be on non-natives I have seen in the Point Pelee site and some birds, etc. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy some beats from my good friend Jetskii Jr. while I fire back some photos. Peace.